sectors, and that's why this product can move.
The Buhari Campaign Organization promised to continue to mobilize support for the administration. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
And economic experts have commended strategies adopted by the federal government at reviving the Nigerian economy and returning it to the path of growth. They were speaking on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria, which carried out a mid-term assessment of the economy under the Buhari administration. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
It's acknowledged that the Buhari administration inherited an economy that was in bad shape and subsequently nosedived into recession. The said government took many steps to reverse the situation with some of the policies such as diversifying the economy through agriculture and the solid mineral sector impacting positively on the economy.
Quite a lot is happening, because if you look at the level of patronage on of made in Nigerian goods now, at the last count, we did an analysis, we had about 27% increase.
We are happy now that, as President mentioned yesterday, that over $500 million have been added to the sovereign wealth funds, and that over $87 million have been added to the excess crude oil.
The damage that has been done for the last 40 years, and people expect it to be corrected instantaneously, that is very difficult.
They spoke on the economic recovery and growth plan, ease of doing business initiative, and the signing of 3 executive orders as some good strategies that will work if implemented faithfully.
The government has to undertake a study of every single productive sector of the economy and have its own blueprint for those sectors.
Nigeria is a G25 economy globally, and Nigeria has a potential of being a G10 economy. Despite or in spite of these 5 consecutive quarters of negative growth of the Nigerian economy has still remained the largest economy in Africa.
Peace initiative in the Niger Delta region, increase in Nigeria's foreign reserves, stability in the foreign exchange market, among other efforts, was set to the right way to go in reviving the economy. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the reforms in the nation's public finance have, in the past 2 years, been geared towards reducing costs and leakages, ensuring prudence and keying into global best practices. Leah Katumba Batunde in this report looks at how this critical sector has fared in the past 2 years.
It has been tough, it has been difficult, it has been rough.
Ahmed Idris there, in brief lines describing what the running of the nation's treasury is like in the past 2 years. However, massive reforms have been evolving to cushion the effects of reduced revenue and infuse sanity in the nation's public finance system. But then information technology remains a key driver for these to happen, and government says it is putting in place the necessary parameters to ensure that technology gets its rightful place in running the accounting system of the government.
We knew that it would still come out fine, and when you go through large-scale implementations like this, it's not unusual to have some initial turbulence. But if you remain focused, you know what you're doing, most of the time it comes out right.
Yet, with technology comes challenges peculiar with it, as not all MDAs have been captured on IPs and TSA platforms, and compliance has some exempt for obvious reasons.
It's not that the universities found it difficult to come and join the TSA. So many other government agencies and departments too, because change in any human society is always, met with a lot of resistance.
We have achieved 8% compliance by way of MDAs moving their accounts onto TSA. For those where we have issues, we are working in collaboration with relevant agencies, the CBN and the agencies concerned, to really make sure that there is full compliance.
Within the period under review, the federal government came up with the efficiency unit as well as the continuous audit department to keep the account books clean. The financial reporting standard, a globally accepted tool, has continued to gain momentum. Now, only recently, government announced an approved new interest rate spread on unpaid taxes for the year 2017. The new interest rate shall be 5% over the Central Bank of Nigeria's minimum rediscount rate MRR for the year 2017 starting from July. Efforts have been on to show up the level of tax compliance in the country, and experts during the period canvassed a rise in tax responsibility as Nigeria's tax-to-GDP ratio remains one of the lowest globally.
So we are determined to ensure that our tax policy sends the right message, being that Nigeria is open for business and is encouraging businesses with a tax system that is easy to understand and easy to comply with. Areas of our tax code and laws that are in need of review will be addressed as part of this exercise, as will modalities for simplifying our processes and reducing the tax burden on small businesses.
However, there seems to be a general consensus that the evolution can only get better with time. In Abuja, I'm Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
The Senate is to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate a deal concerning maintenance of the Port Harcourt refinery. The decision followed a motion on non-transparent transaction sponsored by Senator Sabo Mohammed, representing Jigawa South. In the motion, Senator Sabo noted that while the resolve by the federal government to increase local refinery capacity is laudable, observance of corporate governance principles and extant laws must be followed.
The Port Harcourt refinery to achieve in partnership with Owando without recourse to due process is illegal and a clear attempt at ridiculing Nigerians and will definitely create a big hole that will be hard to fill in the anti-corruption crusade of the present administration.
The senator also agreed that all processes and transactions on the deal should be put on hold until the proposed ad hoc committee completes its work. The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to amend the national minimum wage, which provides for mandatory periodic review of the national minimum wage every 5 years. Members argued that the number of years during which the national minimum wage should be reviewed is not provided for in the Constitution and therefore lacks legal standing for enforcement.
We have those who we represent clamoring for an increase in their wages. This clamor is not something they just wake up and clamor for. It is necessitated by several factors. Inflation, the cost and standard of living, and several other reasons. Mr. Speaker, as of today, there is no law that compels or mandates the government to review salaries. None whatsoever.
Minimum wage is reviewed periodically every 5 years as a maximum.
You're watching NTA News Nationwide. United States government says it will continue to support the Nigerian government in its fight against corruption. Details of this and more with Jennifer in Lagos. It's over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. The United States government has commended the federal government of Nigeria for its steadfastness in degrading the Boko Haram insurgents. Regional security officers of the United States Embassy in Nigeria, Scotty Blansett, gave the commendation at the closing of the explosive training course, which was organized by the United States government for some officers of the anti-bomb unit of the Nigerian police force.
It was a 30-day of rigorous exercise for participants of the U.S. Facilitated Explosive Ordnance Disposal Mentorship Training. The course, which had an overview of recent threats in Nigeria and the African continent, equipped participants with the requisite skills in bomb threat assessment, post-blast investigation, and bomb squad response equipment maintenance. Representative of the Consul General of the United States of America, Scotty Blansett, expressed optimism that the partnership will further boost tactical operation in the theater of war and as well galvanize the existing relationship between the two countries.
Training will save lives and hopefully promote even more goodwill in the future between the United States and Nigeria.
So that we can, first of all, protect the citizens that are returning to their communities to carry on with their daily activities, ensure their safety, and ensure the safety of all, including their properties.
Other senior officers of the Nigerian police force and the training facilitator emphasized the need for collective participation in the fight against terrorists and other criminal elements. High point of the ceremony was the presentation of certificates to participants in Lagos during DIA. NT News.
In order to stem the tide of widespread prevalence of tobacco use and its negative consequences on the well-being of users, experts have called on the government to adopt a tobacco tax policy so as to reduce the high level of its consumption in the country. Abolade Salami has the details.
Statistics shows that nearly 6 million lives are lost annually to the use of tobacco among the 1.3 billion users worldwide. To control this trend and health hazard associated with tobacco consumption, experts have suggested more enlightenment on the danger and the use of tobacco. Medical experts added that with the anti-smoking policy of the government, if fully implemented, more than 100 million premature deaths will be reduced by 2020.
To be able to let everybody know that tobacco is a negative poison. It's a poison that everybody needs to be, and Nigeria has started on the right path. You're not supposed to smoke in the buses, you're not supposed to smoke, even in your home, you're not supposed to, because you're endangering your children, you're endangering your family, and it takes 20 years before the disease comes up. And if anybody smokes, it should also be a penalty.
Apparently, all the laws passed now, the bills passed on, of course, some people who are aware that look, you cannot smoke in public places, and that would definitely reduce the number of smokers you have.
World No Tobacco Day is a day set aside to draw attention to the effect of tobacco on humans. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
In a bid to impact the younger generation and inculcate in them a story-reading habit, poets in Nigeria partnered with various charity organizations in Lagos to organize a Children's Day Kiddies Fun Fair. Jessica Wankwo completes the report.
The event is a fusion of various creatively inclined programs put together for the children and by the children to encourage them to explore their creativity.
We're using poetry as a foundation genre of literature to stimulate interest for reading.
So we discovered that at children parties, it's just about music, dance, but we need to inculcate more intellectual activities into children parties.
There were song renditions from visually challenged children, a stage play performed by the House of Faber Kids Theatre Company, musical interludes and comedy performances to the delight of the children.
Where did they come from? Why were they doing your choice? What children? Are you all making fun of me?
The fun fair was also an avenue for the organizers to bring poetry and other forms of art to the less privileged.
Let us do something around the less privileged children. People that probably would have been in their motherless babies' home, at the orphanages, without nobody having plans for them. Let's create an opportunity for them here. We'll cook food. Let it be an opportunity to give back to them.
I've learned different kind of poets, the attributes of some poets, and I've also learned about how a good native place must be.
I learned the attribute of a lion, and I learned more about poetry.
There was also an inspirational speech by Bess Okodewa, a Nollywood producer and director, who shared with the kids how to build strength of character. Prizes were presented to children who had been exceptionally attentive, various school representatives and the organizers as a gesture of goodwill.
Now, those are the reports from Lagos at this hour. Back to Elizabeth in Abuja for more on Nationwide News.
Thank you, Jennifer. The Nigerian Air Force has continued to intensify clearance operations in the northeast region. The Air Force component of Operation Lafia Dole conducted an intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance ISR mission in Parisu, Borno State. During the ISR mission, A large structure with solar panels and flags suspected to harbor high-value Boko Haram terrorists was discovered alongside other similar structures hidden under trees. Subsequent battle damage assessment revealed that several structures in the target area were engulfed in fire as a result of the strikes, and a few Boko Haram terrorist survivors were seen scampering from the locations. Also, in the statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesonya says NAV helicopter gunships have also destroyed hidden barges with stolen oil products in several creeks within the Niger Delta under the framework of Operation Delta Safe. The destruction of the barges is aimed at making the stealing of the nation's oil products futile, dangerous, and unattractive. The need to interface modern and indigenous early warning systems to build resilience of vulnerable communities around the Chad Basin has been brought to the fore. This was at a forum on preventing disasters coming on the heels of recent experiences in and around the Lake Chad region by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization in Abuja. Olajide Bello has details.
With climate risk increasing in frequency and magnitude globally impacting human health, the environment and causing material losses to communities, experts have identified the need for a fusion of modern science and indigenous knowledge in evaluating climate trends and early warnings. The Lake Chad Basin was the focal point of discourse as its ecosystem is severely affected by impacts of climate change with human and environmental consequences.
The effectiveness of indigenous knowledge for disaster risk reduction measures is becoming grossly inadequate. There is therefore a need to link modern science with indigenous knowledge in order to build a culture of early warning system and disaster risk reduction by vulnerable communities to the negative consequences of climate change.
Enhancing the resilience of vulnerable populations of Cameroon, Niger, Nigeria and Chad becomes imperative as the lake has shrunk from 25,000 kilometers square to about 1,500 kilometers square.
I would like to inform you that UNESCO recognizes the collaboration between indigenous knowledge and mainstream scientific research can generate new co-produced knowledge that will enable effective action to cope with climate change and other emerging challenges.
Efforts are in top gear by UNESCO to implement a model of transboundary biosphere reserve and World Heritage Sites to promote peace in the Lake Chad Basin. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
The 2017 Democracy Day was celebrated as the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun, with members of his cabinet and the legislature, spent the whole day on inspection tour of completed and ongoing developmental projects across the state. Lekan Agbonde reports that the reconstructed Gateway Hotel Annex was also commissioned as part of activities to mark the day.
From early morning till late in the night, the governor's entourage was on the road touring the 3 senatorial districts of the state for the project's inspection. The tour that started from the 110 Ilara Ijoun Ojaodon Ilashe Road to Shagamu Express Junction Road and Songo Ijoko Jodubega Road, where flyovers and culverts were under construction. Governor Ibikunle Amosun expressed satisfaction with the level of work ongoing. He said this year's Democracy Day celebration marked the mid-term of the 4-year tenure of his administration, and the executive, in collaboration with the other 2 arms of government, are poised to give the best to the people.
So what we are doing is, yes, we are planning our finances such that we will be in a position to complete all our projects. It's not just road. When we leave here tonight, we are going to commission something so we'll continue to do that. It is not just road. Look at our schools. Look at our hospitals. We are building a lot of things. We are starting full throttle. Indeed, what we want to do is from now till when we have our election, till when we say bye-bye to Ogun State, no stopping. It is such that there are many projects to commission. You know, If you want to even make noise, we can just sit in one place and say we are commissioning, and that is what we are doing.
The governor reassured the citizens that no project will be left uncompleted at the end of the tenure of the present administration. In Abuja, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
And Democracy Day in Bakudi, 43 prison inmates gain amnesty. This and more with Susan. It's over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good to have you join us in Makudi. The Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, has granted amnesty to 43 inmates serving various jail terms in Makudi prison to commemorate this year's Democracy Day. The governor made this known on the occasion of the 2017 Democracy Day celebration. Achigili Magaji reports that the occasion also witnessed the launch of the 2017
inmates with various ailments, those sentenced with option of fine, and those in detention without trial for a long time depending on their offenses, among others. The governor noted that his action is to give this category of persons a second chance to contribute their quota to the development of the society.
Let me charge all those involved being of good.
We seem to be having audio challenge in Makudi. But you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device or at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. We'll now take a break to bring you some messages. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين.
The management of the Nigeria Television Authority NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria FRCN, and Voice of Nigeria VON cordially invites the Muslim Ummah and the general public to the 12th annual Ramadan lecture, which will inshallah take place on Saturday, 3rd June 2017 at Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Road, off Jabi Road East, off Sultan Road, Ngwarimi Jare, Kaduna, by 9 a.m. Topic of discuss: ongoing charity in Islam, to be delivered by Sheikh Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, Director General NIDA. Chief host, His Excellency Malan Nasir Ahmad Erufai, Executive Governor, Kaduna State. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, will be the special guest of honor, and His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Shehu Usman Musa III, Emir of Kefi, will be the chairman of the occasion. Host, Malam Yakubu Muhammad, the Director General NTA, Malam Mansur Liman, Director General FRCN, and Dr. Osita Kichuku, Director General VON. You are welcome. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
My name is Hadiza Mohammed from Bauchi. I'm one of the beneficiaries of Empower program. Yes, I graduated since 2010. The little money I got from my NYSC, I decided to start something with it. That is, I started selling firewood and recharge cards to take my family, my aged parents and my siblings to school. I was possessed to one village. You understand? You know, I'm a degree holder, so I don't have much experience in teaching. So I have to, when I look at the children, I say, look, I have to do this thing. Even those that have teach, I have experience. They are not better than I do. You know, the children are willing to come to school, but there are no teachers in that village. So I said, Kai, let me help these children. I'm also a graduate. Let me help them. Let them know how to read and write. Let them know how to read and write just the way I am. Let me try my best and see that they have gained something too, through me. We pray that Almighty Allah should give the president sound health.
The StarTimes Combo Decoder is here for you. An advanced technology from StarTimes that combines the dish and antenna both in one decoder. This decoder is packed with all your favorite news and entertainment channels like Fox, Fox Life, IDX, National Geographic Channel, Star Plus, BBC, Al Jazeera, POP, live matches on ST World Football, and over 120 exciting channels. Get the StarTimes Combo Decoder for just 13,900 Naira and enjoy great entertainment for the entire family. So, go ahead, eat your cake and have it with the StarTimes Combo Decoder. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
This is television reborn. Enjoy more than 200 channels. No decoder needed. The real digital TV is here. StarTimes Digital TVs.
Thank you for staying with us for Nationwide. Moves to develop Imo River Basin for economic benefits. Let's now join Beauty in Enugu for details of this and other stories from that zone.
It's heartwarming to see you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi has reaffirmed his promise that his administration will harness every available resources with utmost transparency, honesty, prudence and equity for the benefit of the people of the state. Ijeoma Agweke reports that the governor made the statement while addressing the people of Enugu State during this year's celebration of Democracy Day.
It was a day to take stock of the achievements recorded within the 2 years of the present administration in the state. The event, which took place at the Michael Okpara Square, drew eminent personalities, including members of the State and National Assembly, elder statesmen, religious leaders, and royal fathers. Governor Ugwuanyi said he will continue to run an open and accountable administration to ensure the dividends of democracy get to the people.
I'm happy to acknowledge that 2 years into this administration, Enugu State has emerged as one big, united family. Our dear state has been variously described as a citadel of peace and harmony.
Some key players in the state commended the governor's vision to open up rural areas with quality infrastructure projects, describing them as monumental achievements, which they said have brought a new lease of life to the people.
Enugu State remains number one. Salary on the 24th of every month. Executive doing well, legislature doing well, judiciary doing well. The governor has established a good relationship between himself and the people around. The state has also moved forward in education, because most of the schools are being renovated.
Governor Ugwuanyi also inspected a special parade by the Nigerian police force in honor of the day. In Enugu, Ijeoma Agweke, NTA News.
The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has reaffirmed his determination to strengthen the River Basin Development Authority as a driving force for food security and job creation in Nigeria. The minister stated this in Owerri in a meeting with members of staff of Anambra and Imo River Basin Authority. Beatrice Anyem reports.
The workshop is aimed at popularizing the strategic plan of the Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority from 2017 to 2020 and the reorientation of key staff of the authority for optimal performance in their duties. The Minister of Water Resources, represented by Director of Special Duties in the Ministry, Mr. Peter Nwapa, said the training will reposition the River Basin Development Authority for better performance in achieving food security.
Installation has to be carried out at all levels so that they flow in line with my vision and mission to divert the economy from oil to agri business economy.
Managing Director, Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority, said the capacity building workshop became necessary to enable the staff to key into the strategic plan that will help achieve the vision of the authority. In Owerri, Beatrice Anyam, NTA News.
If accurate and tolerable physical standards are maintained in the country, disaster can be averted. This is the subject of discourse as Standard Organization of Nigeria, in collaboration with Weight and Measurement Department, held a workshop with the team Measurement for Transport. Amaka will tell us more.
The Director General, Standards Organization of Nigeria, represented by the Director, Management System and Certification, Mrs. Oluremi Ayeni, noted that the treaty, Mrs. Ayeni said, provides the basis for a coherent measurement system worldwide that supports scientific discovery and innovation, industrial and manufacturing, as well as improvement of the quality of life and protection of the global industry.
It is important, too, that the emerging criteria of economies and environmental performance be met by the way the measurements are being taken.
In a lecture, Director National Metrology Institute defined metrology as the science of measurement which is applicable to all sectors of human life.
Our responsibility in SON, NMI, is to maintain these standards for the country and disseminate them to lower levels of measurements.
The Director Weights and Measures, represented by Mr. Okechukwu Ejiofor, called on government at all levels and other agencies to ensure that standard measurements are put in place. The delegates were drawn from various offices of Standards Organization of Nigeria and Weights and Measures Department in all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Highlights were a touring of multi-purpose laboratory constructed by Nigerian engineers to meet world best practices and mobile laboratory built in Germany. In Enugu, Amakowo, NTA News.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of research and planning Southeast, Valentine Utomchukwu, has urged the people of Imo State to always come up with relevant information that will help the police to fish out criminals in the society. The DIG gave the charge in Owerri in a meeting with some security experts on new strategies for effective policing in the state. Sele Osainde has that report.
The emergence of criminal activities, especially cultism, armed robbery, kidnapping, and other related crimes, have created security gaps that need quick solution. The stakeholders meeting, which had a cross-section of Imo residents, union leaders, and professional bodies in attendance, are to brainstorm on how to make Imo State safe.
It's not yet Kuhuru. We have a number of challenges still starting out to face. Can't happen to me like it has slowly come back, and I expect this house to dissect the problem and come up with solutions to it. Government and the people, through their representatives, must, as of necessity, be bridge builders and contribute to security, especially at various communities. The paradigm has shifted. Security is now everybody's business. The community needs to be involved in security management.
Earlier, while addressing officers at the police headquarters, DIG Utomchukwu told them to leverage on the strength of their host communities. This, he said, will ensure free flow of information to nip crime and end the trust of the community members. In Owerri, Sele Osainde, NTA News.
We are done here. Elizabeth, is back to you in Abuja.
Thank you, Beauty. And a bit on health now. Over 200,000 Nigerians die annually from mosquito-transmitted diseases. To this end, the federal government is not resting on its oars to control the spread of mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria. Mia Ogidi was at the official launching of the National Mosquito Control and Liquid Waste Management Program in Abuja. And our reports.
Poor sanitation, especially at the local areas, provide a conducive environment for the breeding of mosquitoes, which transmit 5 diseases, prominent among malaria, yellow fever, and Zika virus. World Health Organization report reveals that over 3.3 billion people die globally from malaria, with Nigeria having 200,000 of this number, while the federal government loses 3 billion naira annually to malaria.
The national cost of malaria is over 3 billion naira, which represents about 7.3% of our GDP. This is unacceptable.
While it remains unacceptable, the task of eliminating malaria needs collective approach, as this approach, coupled with sincere political will, led to the elimination of malaria in Cuba since 1967. Nigeria is taking deliberate steps to reduce the prevalence of this killer disease.
On behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, to launch this noble initiative to stop the mosquito vector from ravaging our nation.
This gathering is therefore to launch the National Mosquito Control Program, where the task of reducing malaria will not be a mere rhetoric, but backed with action.
Environmental officers in a Heracon alone cannot do the magic that we want. We believe if we can get the public health department in all the local government to start thinking very seriously about daily sanitation.
Because if you change your attitude towards waste management today, you have done almost 50% of all we are talking about. Water, sanitation, and hygiene. And I can tell you the mosquito will begin to die freely because we are removing the habitats from existence.
We want people to recognize the import of sanitation in addressing the national disease burden. And today, our dream has come true.
It was also resolved that sanitation should not be on monthly basis, but daily. Mayor Ogidi, NT News.
We now rejoin Susan in Makudi for stories making headlines in that zone. It's over to you now.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to Makudi. The Benue State Governor Samuel Otom has granted amnesty to 43 inmates serving various jail terms.
Well, we seem to be having that audio problem, so moving on now, a bill for an act to establish the National Agency for Albinism and Hyperpigmentation, and for an act to provide for establishment of a National Center for Research, Management and Control of Autism and Down Syndrome received majority support at a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Health Institutions. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
People living with autism are faced with social and health challenges in life that require full attention by both the authorities and the general public. The provisions of these bills, therefore, are seeking to address these challenges and guarantee equal opportunity for these persons with special needs to contribute meaningfully to the growth and development of the society. Supporting the bills, contributors pointed out some areas of amendments, such as inclusion of the Ministry of Education, Justice and caregivers in the governing board. Other areas to be reviewed include free education and healthcare for these persons, especially children, and special consideration in terms of employment and social securities for caregivers.
Nobody gives you money because you're an albino. They give you money because you have a project to solve the problems of persons with albinism.
Any platform to improve the welfare of the albino is acceptable by the Nigerian Association of Dermatologists.
The bill for an act to amend the Radiographers Registration Law of 2004 also received majority support, with amendments of upward review of punishment and fines for defaulters in the practice to eliminate quackery and increased welfare for practitioners.
We have to secure the future of our children, and we have to improve the services we render to our people. And so if we don't stop thinking about everybody setting up their own thing, we can't move forward.
It was put in perspective that what the country needs at the moment is an agency that will be well funded, equipped, and adequately supervised to provide services that will have direct effect on the lives of those with special needs and control all forms of neurological diseases. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
A nation's advancement is to a large extent measured by the quality of life of the citizenry, especially women and children. It is also said that no nation achieves any meaningful development without the contributions of the women folk. Against this background, Talatu Ezerike looks at how women have fared under the 2 years of the Buhari administration.
29th May 2015, Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, stood still with series of activities and jubilations at the emergence of the Buhari administration.
I left my business today to come and celebrate, say, Baba, we need change in Nigeria.
2 years down the line, Salamatu Salami, like many Nigerian women, decried pains of recession while acknowledging government programs for turnaround, top of which are practical governance through free interaction with the populace, promotion of women's rights and empowerment, particularly the 1.6 billion naira for National Women Empowerment Fund targeted at grassroots women, market women, artisans and farmers.
Even me that I didn't have the loan already, I'm very happy because when you reach this one, maybe from there, me too, I can benefit from them.
The loans that will be given to women must be on liberal terms. And that is why this JIP and NAWEF are microfinance loans, interest-free, no collateral.
Analysts say other gains for women include restored security in the northeast, the release of a great number of the kidnapped Chibok girls, and enabling environment for the entrenchment of women as peace and security ambassadors.
Before, we don't sleep with our eyes closed, but now, alhamdulillah, we have security all over the country. It has fought Boko Haram to the ground.
Our girls are coming out. That is the most important to me as a mother. And we are hoping that very soon we are going to have all our girls back with us. So we are beginning to have food security. We are beginning to have bumper harvest.
There are, however, worries over poor women's participation in politics. A school of thought scored the Buhari's administration high on intensified campaigns on ending violence against children and the implementation of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, VAP, presently operational in the FCT.
If it's violence in the field where talks beat up a woman because of her political leaning or affiliation, the law will also take its course on that area. If it's a thug, the law will get at a thug.
Another major landmark for women is the convention of the National Council of Women's Societies, NCWS, with the emergence of new executives. Mrs. Aisha Buhari is the grand patron of the council.
Nigerian women will agree with me that we have come a long way so far. Many women have been empowered.
Message well understood. Talatu Ezerike, NTA News.
South Africa to have first bumper maize harvest in 4 decades, and the White House Communications Director resigns 3 months after being hired by President Donald Trump to revamp the White House media strategy. These and more with Chimdima Ndibisi.
After grappling with devastating drought last year, South Africa is to experience relief as it's set to harvest its biggest maize crop. Government figures show that farmers are expected to produce 15 million tons of maize that will amount to 50% surplus for the year, resulting in reduced food prices. The expected bumper harvest is attributed to proper rain distribution in January and February this year. And from United Nations Human Rights Office comes a report that there has been violation of human rights on a massive scale in the Central African Republic by government troops, armed groups and international defense forces. The document reveals that there are 620 cases of gang rapes, severe torture resulting in deaths, and reprisal attacks attributed to political instability, corruption, and nepotism. In the science world, a life-saving antibiotic that will attack bacteria in 3 different ways has been created. The new antibiotic will boost treatment of infections that are resistant to antibiotics, which is one of the biggest threats to global health. That's Global Tidbit. Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
On the sporting scene, the need to do more towards boosting Nigeria's sporting industry comes to the fore as the nation marks 2017 democracy.